Okay, bike nerd moment. You ever take a little break? I want to talk about this for a minute. For anybody who grew up in Canada, Newfoundland and that especially, I mean, ATC's trikes were a big deal. I remember, I grew up, I was a two-wheel guy. I was born with two legs and two wheels. And when these things came around, though, I was starting to notice that it was a very big deal. The first one of these things was released by Honda in 1970. And it was called the ATC 90, and a lot of people remember that. That thing had the lay down kind of flat engine. It came in the CT 70 and the CT 90 as well. And that kind of caught on. It was designed and developed in Japan, but it was developed for a North American market because they knew that that's actually where it was going to sell. They were the only ones that were in that market for a long time. And by somewhere around 75, 76, they went and put out the little Honda, this little 70, ATC 70, and people can remember that. That was the first version of things that was bought for small kids. By 1980, in the 80s started to hit, Honda went and changed the game on that. They came with a 185. The thing had a semi-automatic transmission, and it was getting pretty serious at that time. It was a nice little bike. So it kept developing, and it went into a 200 and on up. And then it came to this. In 1985, Honda released a 250, which was a four-stroke 250. Now they had a couple of two-stroke engines. They were in the Odysseys, if people can remember them. They were back. That was a 250 started, and it was a 350, and that thing was released somewhere around 1976. But this thing was the pinnacle. By 1985, when it went into a 250 engine, it was getting pretty serious because one of the big things they did, they put suspension on it. So it actually had shocks on the front and the back, and it was getting comfortable. At that point, when this was released, Honda had about 50% of that market absolutely captured. There was a few other players in it, but Honda was the one that was running it. So this particular model ran 85, 86, and 87. And what happened, and everybody will remember this, is that these things, it's a common belief that they became banned. And that's not what actually happened. There was a lot of accidents occurring on them, and they were happening by underage drivers, and kids were doing it. And the companies were getting really spooked by this. There was lawsuits starting to develop and stuff, and they understood themselves that for an underage rider, this thing just wasn't safe. So they themselves decided that, you know what, we're going to stop selling it. So they got together. By 1987 was the last year, and the companies were talking about it at that point. By 1988, they all made an agreement themselves. They said, no, we're not going to produce it anymore. In 1998, the agreement came up, and the companies decided they weren't going to reverse that decision, and they left it alone. And the first time the government actually intervened in this in Canada was in 2008. That they made a law that said that, no, there's not going to be any more importing of three-wheel ATVs at that point. And, of course, the four-wheel market came into place, and now, I mean, you can get a $55,000. You can buy it with air conditioning and a stereo and everything. I mean, it's a far cry from a 1970 ATC 90, but that's, in fact, what started it. The one thing about this one, though, is that this bike was the end of an era, and why some people there's really most people can remember what it looked like, but it really wasn't around that much. In 1985, when they came out with this, Honda produced 109,000 of these things all together, and the majority was sold in the North American market, and not all of them, but a lot. In 1986. The companies were talking to each other. They were coming to an end of this, and they knew it. So when this bike came out in 1986, there was only a little over 28,000 of these things actually produced at that point. And if you look at the ones in Canada, they don't have specific numbers on that. But if you follow how the rest of it works, we are about 10% to the American market. So looking at it, there was probably only somewhere between maybe 2,500 and 3,000 of these things actually produced. And that's why you see them online. People are getting good money in that form. This particular one, which I don't see it very often, but it's in really, really good condition. A lot of them are beat up, but this thing has been looked after. It's never been bastardized. Nobody's been at it, really. The first time anybody's worked on it is me now, because the thing won't go. So if you have one, yeah, I can see where the value comes. One other thing I will tell you, though, in 1987, which was the end of the run of these, and they were pretty much done. They were just getting rid of a few of them. Honda sold less than 5,000 of the 1987 Big Red Honda. In Canada, there might have been, I don't even say there was 1,000 of these things showed up in Canada. So no matter where you are, if you're in the States or you're in Canada, if you have a 1987 Big Red that's in good condition, I can guarantee you it is worth money, because people they don't want to ride it anymore. Anybody wants to do, you want to buy it and look at it is the main thing about it. But it's interesting how something that really, back in a point, when that thing sold in 1987 in Canada, it sold for about, probably somewhere around $3,500. I mean, they're getting anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 for these things on the market right now. So, it goes to show it may not be our thing, but it's somebody's thing at the end of the day. So I enjoy working on these things. They have a part of history in that too. So I like to get a chance to just take a few minutes to talk about it.